Hello, Ed boys!
What's up, dudes? Today, we're going to describe what the video is about, even though you already know, based off of the title and thumbnail, before you clicked on it. Okay, obviously I'm kidding around, but I really do hate this part of the script because I basically have to assume that I'm keeping your attention for a solid minute before I actually get into the substance of the video. So, long story short, I'm going to name 5 operators that are my personal recommendations for completely new Siege players, because I get this question a lot in my Twitch streams, like, what operator should I play? Is this operator good in this kind of team composition? Like, a lot of what do I do kind of questions without really that much contextual information for me to really help you with. So I'm just going to make a video just about that. So this is going to help new players that are trying to get into ranked a lot, or at least I hope so. I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Ridge Wallet. Dudes familiar with my work will remember this golden wallet of mine that I've been using ever since I got it, but you'll be happy to know that Ridge Wallet is not only a nice functional wallet, it's a stylish wallet that comes in a variety of different finishes like carbon fiber, which I have here. For those unfamiliar with it, the design is comprised of 2 hard pieces of material that are tightly strapped together but are flexible enough to insert and remove your cards. It either has a clip or a strap on the back to hold your dollar bills, and you'll immediately notice how it doesn't take up as much space in your front pocket. Yes, I said front pocket, not your back pocket. Kids, don't put your wallet in your back pocket. Just makes it easy for a pickpocket. Tyler Lockett, that's an awfully hot cast iron wok kit. Should I drop it? No, I shouldn't. Grab a Ridge wallet from ridge.com/Gregor with free worldwide shipping, and if you don't like it, it comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can return it free of charge too. Thanks again to Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video. If you're interested, head to the link in the description. So I'm starting off with a Mute clip because I'm going to recommend Mute if you're new to the game. Mute is one of the most versatile operators in Rainbow Six. I would actually go as far to say that he is the most versatile defender in the game right now. And a lot of it has to do with his primary weapon options. If you're feeling a bit dangerous, you can actually go for a top floor roam with Mute pretty effectively with the MP5K as a primary weapon. But in most scenarios, you're going to be using the shotgun. Now, having a shotgun in combination with a fully automatic weapon of some kind makes any operator on defense a useful utility operator. With the shotgun, you're going to be responsible for setting up the sight, and that encompasses rotate holes as well as lines of sight. Even if you die without getting a pick, which isn't ideal, you can still contribute something to your team. This is a pattern that you'll see a lot in this video. Operators with a high return floor, that is guaranteed value for the team, as opposed to low return floor, high ceiling operators like Vigil. Anyway, having a shotgun in addition to a fully automatic weapon gives the defender a pretty decent amount of guaranteed value. Mute's jammers are also passive set and forget gadgets that kick into gear as soon as they're set down and don't stop working until they get shot or Thatcher EMP'd. While these jammers are obviously useful for denying the wall, they're also useful for denying intel from the attacking team by cutting off drone access. Staircases and narrow hallways or doorways are perfect spots for Mute jammers. And in some instances, like the video I did on Oregon Mute setups, they can be placed on top of things to jam drones through the floor above, making them even more difficult to deal with. Top that off with C4, and Mute can also fight off vertical play or occasionally get a free pick from behind cover. The only really difficult part about Mute's kit is his SMG-11. Unfortunately for you, you can play Amaru or Sledge and T-Hunt and get really comfortable with that gun's recoil. I can't say much for any of you playing on console, but at least on PC, the recoil pattern of the SMG-11 is learnable. And even if your recoil control isn't that good, the gun responds well to tap firing in short bursts for shitters like me. If you don't need another shotgun on site, put the MP5K on instead, and now you have another roamer on your team. Mute can quite literally do it all on defense. There's a reason I play him so much. Ashes to ashes, we all fall down if you can't get your picks. So some of you will disagree with me on this one. The responsibility of this job is too high. You can't expect newer players to take this on. Well, everyone's got to start somewhere. Ash's job is to get the opening pick. That inherently is a more difficult job than opening the wall. Psych, that was a test.
It's false.
At low elo, sure. But once you get into high elo or comp, I think there's a lot more that can go wrong when you're playing on support on attack because you can't always rely on your gun. You have to multitask. You can't just sit and look at something, and you can't just aggress with your gun up to win the fight. You have to go through a checklist. You have to follow through the course of the round that is much more robust than an entry fragger's checklist, which is why Ash is on this list of operators. Now, Mute, who I suggested previously, relies on a lot of rote memorization. If you don't know where to make a rotate hole or where to put a jammer, then yeah, it's difficult to get much out of him. But once you do know, you know it, and you can do that again and again. With Ash, there's not a lot of specific siege knowledge that you really have to pore over and study, at least not right away. And that's nice on attack when you're getting into this game because attacking is a lot more difficult than defending. Ash has not only easy to use guns, but also very good guns. Notice that I'm making a distinction between the two. That's the one advantage a lot of attackers get over defenders for the most part, the primary weapon slot. The R4C is a laser beam with easy to handle recoil and pretty high damage to ensure that you can get a kill or two even if you don't hit the head. The G36 is probably a bit more difficult to use since you're going to have to rely more on clicking heads with that thing, but it has an angled grip and a 1.5 times scope, so that's not too bad in my opinion. Ash is also a 3-speed, which means she has more flexibility in terms of positioning. It's not as punishing if you commit to a push that doesn't work out, because she can zoom across to another lane really quickly, and she is harder to fight as a result of that 3-speed rating in some instances, especially with Peeker's advantage. The other thing that makes her easier to play than other entry fraggers is her gadget. So unlike, say, Buck or even Sledge or Jackal, less orthodox entry fraggers, their kits are designed with a particular goal in mind. There's not a lot of set and forget utility on attack. A Jackal needs to commit to his job as a roam clearer, and Sledge needs to apply vertical pressure or get rid of castle barricades. Buck often has a goal of going from below a room or maybe hitting it from an adjacent angle. Ash is more straightforward. If she sees a piece of bulletproof utility, she pulls out her gadget and she gets rid of it, or she doesn't get rid of it because her gadget got burned up by an ADS or a WMI disk. Okay, that's it. There are so many aspects of Ash's kit that are pretty much idiot-proof. So even though you need to aim relatively well to get the most out of her, I'm not saying that if you're having a hard time keeping up in Call of Duty, I'd recommend playing Ash. But I'd say she's a good operator for beginners who can hit their shots confidently. And if you're coming over from another FPS game and you feel okay with your shot, Ash is a great operator to start out with. Coming up next on defense is a dedicated roamer. And you're probably not surprised by this one, right? Jager, duh. Hey, don't blame the operator, blame the meta. There are basically 0 instances in which a Jager is brought and someone goes, what the fuck, why would we bring a Jager? Maybe if you're doing a really specific strategy, but 9 times out of 10, this guy can fit into a team because the bread and butter of Siege is utility right now. We are in a utility burning meta. So don't feel bad for bringing this guy all the time. You have my official permission to be a Jaeger main when you're first starting out in Rainbow Six Siege. It is perfectly okay. In fact, if you want to learn some pointers on how to place his ADS, which I would argue is the first thing you should start with, there's an info card on the screen at the top right that links to my Jaeger 2020 how-to, so don't miss that. Now, aside from the ADS, he also has a respectable gun that would be nice on attack, but becomes quite good on defense considering he's one of the only defenders that has access to an assault rifle that can take gunfights from really far away, and it has a relatively fast TTK with body shots. But the rate of fire isn't too low to make nabbing headshots too difficult either, and it doesn't have a lot of recoil, so while it can't run an angled grip, your only options are going to be a foregrip with some kind of close-range sight. It's still a nice weapon to have. There's not much else to say about Jaeger other than the ADS provides passive utility, which again is a nice example of guaranteed value, and it's some of the best guaranteed value in the game on defense because you can use it to protect your teammates' Maestro cameras, Goyle shields, protect your teammate holding an important choke. It's one of the most powerful gadgets in the game on an operator with a gun that can fight at any range, short, medium, or long. Back to attack. This is a more support-based operator if you're not feeling Ash. Thatcher is still one of the better attacking operators in my opinion, despite his rework in which he only disables gadgets instead of outright destroying them. This works a bit to his advantage when it comes to bandit tricking, since the bandit has to shoot the disabled battery box in order to trick the wall as fast as possible. Now, bandit tricking isn't really as popular as it used to be, since it's pretty simple to counter with Maverick, and Ace can just throw a whole bunch of his Selmas across the wall to make it pretty much impossible for bandit to trick every single one. But Thatcher is also useful for getting Cade sticks disabled when you go for a hatch. He can also clear the way for your teammates from gadgets like Maestro cameras, maybe get rid of a Mozzie Pest or a Mute Jammer so your teammates can drone out the room. Since the gadget presence on defense is so high right now, it's nice to have Thatcher's EMPs most of the time. Echo and Maestro are great examples of operators that Thatcher can immediately make a lot less useful with just a simple button press. However, he's not strictly a Goyo or Mira counter because both of those gadgets are not electronic. However, if you're smart enough with his EMPs, if you don't throw them into the sniping range of Jager's ADS or Ramai's discs, the blast radius can actually disable those gadgets protecting the Mira or the Goyo shield, so that's just something else to keep in mind. Thatcher also has pretty good guns. Most of you know from my streams that I like to run the AR-33 with an angled grip and some kind of close range sight. I like playing aggro with this gun because of its higher rate of fire, but the L85 is certainly usable too. It's great for long range engagements with a longer range scope, since it has hardly any recoil plus pretty good body shot damage as well. Alright, so I've talked about 2 defenders, 2 attackers. That means the last one has to be one or the other. And that's gonna make the video biased, isn't it? Well, there's a twist, my dudes, because one of the best operators for you to play as a beginner, regardless of everything I've said and recommended, is this. The one that you play consistently. What I would advise to you getting into this game, pick one operator on attack and then another operator on defense. Then try to stick to those 2. Don't be completely inflexible, right? Like, if you for some reason want to be an Amaru main, I won't stop you. I'll just encourage you to do something else. But if you're that committed and someone says, hey, can we get a Thermite or a Thatcher, maybe switch off of the Amaru for that round. Just maybe. But play that particular attacking operator and T-Hunt a whole bunch. For defenders, it's a bit more difficult to do that because the practice you get for defense on T-Hunt is really limited. But most of the guns on defense are pretty low recoil, so it's not that big of a deal. There are other ways to train your mechanical aim. Just get really comfortable with the recoil, reload speed, blah, blah, blah. Put on some music while you play your T-Hunts or a podcast or something, right? Like, just think of it like you're doing siege cardio, okay? You're not trying to win the T-Hunt any more than you'd be trying to win the bench press, right? Like, your body isn't going to bench 200 pounds 5 times if it's not able to do that, right? Like, you're not going to be able to force it to do something it's not capable of doing. I would do the T-Hunt at a quick enough pace so that you're taking lots of gunfights at the same time, but not so much to where you're getting crossfired and you just die right away. Focus on hitting heads. Then, when you're done with that, maybe watch other streamers and see how they play those operators. Look up your favorite Twitch streamers, since they usually have a YouTube channel, and just type the operator's name plus a full game. Usually there's going to be a result, if not from that Twitch streamer, then by somebody else. If the operator has gadget placements, look up gadget placements. The one caveat to this, I would not suggest picking up an operator with an active ability, like Vigil, because you're going to be trying to learn fundamentals, and trying to mix in an ability like a Vigil Cloak while you learn fundamentals is kind of like learning how to do a play fake before you learn how to throw a forward pass. So try to stay away from these operators. But generally speaking, anyone with a passive piece of utility or a relatively simple piece of it on attack with an easy-to-use gun will do the trick. But that's my long and short on beginning operators. If you've been playing Siege for a while, let people in the comments know what operators you started out with and how much success you had with them. Some people stick with their day one mains forever, others switch eventually. We also try to stream as many weekdays as possible at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Twitch channel, and the link for that is in the description. If this video raised your Siege IQ, be sure to share it with your friends to raise theirs, and give the video a like. It helps me out a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm going to talk about who I think the best operators at their respective roles are for attackers, and then defenders in the video after that. So thank you so much for watching. Deuces.